Welcome to Teacher's World, where we celebrate the heroes of education. Join us on Teacher's World, only on the Achievement Channel.
Hello and welcome to Teacher's World, the show dedicated to equipping educators with the tools to thrive and the motivation to lead. I'm your host, David Obianyor, and you're watching the Achievement Channel, Nigeria's first and only 100% motivational TV station, broadcasting from the School of Eloquence Studios in Ikoyi, Lagos, Nigeria. Today, we are opening doors to global opportunities with our topic, the Global Gateway, Mastering International Exams and Academic Mentorship. Joining us is a man who has helped Nigerian students walk through the gates of Harvard, Oxford, and Imperial College London. He's a specialist in the GRE, SAT, and GMAT, and the founder of the virtual platform Get Tutored. Please welcome the brilliant Victor Pius Aikhorin.
Join us on Teacher's World, only on the Achievement Channel.
All right, I'm in the studio with Mr. Victor Aikhorin, the very experienced tutor who I met on social media. I've talked to various educators and I've told them the importance of collaborating on social media. Nice to have you in the studio.
Thank you, Mr. David.
Okay, so like we're talking about during the behind the scenes, we talked about how you moved up in your career, the amount of time you spent in the physical classroom. What would you say is the difference, and why is it important for an educator to focus on one aspect of teaching? Like you have moved from teaching many subjects to specializing in GRE, GMAT, and SAT.
I would say it's a really great move, and the reason I say so is because there are a lot of persons who tend to stumble into teaching, so to speak.
I'm one of them.
There are a number of persons, even I myself stumbled into teaching. It's one of the easiest professions to get into.
But not the easiest to stay in.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very good point. So one of the easiest professions to just stumble upon, and then you get people who begin to wonder whether it is something they want to do on the long term. And because there are so many persons, it's kind of saturated, right? And as a result, you need to stand out, so to speak. You need to stand out. For me personally, I had read a book. It was titled "Be So Good That They Cannot Ignore You." It's by Cal Newport. So I'll say that again: be so good that they cannot ignore you. And the premise of this book basically was, whatever field you find yourself in, try to find a niche and kind of focus on building enough skills in that niche. The guy called it career capital, and then you begin to trade this career capital to get good value, so to speak. I had to pause and think, okay, in the education field, where would I say is a niche that I could, a gap that I could try to fill? And I started to notice that international exams, the SATs, the GRE, the GMAT, they were not enough experts. You had people who could teach math, English, and just naturally feel because I can teach math or English, I should also be able to teach this subject. But then when you look at the nitty-gritties that come with it, you tend to find that it goes beyond just teaching math and English. You have to teach speed, you have to teach time management, you have to teach accuracy and all those things. So personally for me, I decided to specialize in one of these areas. At first, I looked at it and I said, okay, if I focus on building mastery in teaching these exams, I become a go-to expert, for these areas, and that way I was able to stand out. So for a person looking to build a career in the education field, in teaching, you really have to just pause and think to yourself, how do I stand out from the crowd? I remember you guys did a 1 million teachers thing that broke the Guinness record. You saw how many people trooped out. There were plenty teachers from Nigeria. There's a whole crowd. So for you to stand out from that crowd, you have to find one area that you specialize in and actually, build upon and gain mastery.
Fantastic, Mr. Victor. I mean, I couldn't have said it any better myself. And I would say that I understand what you're saying as someone who carved a niche for myself too at some point. And it makes a lot of sense because, like you said, we are so many in this profession, and it kinds of brands you to, like, when people know that what's this guy synonymous with, what is he associated with, and then they can look to you for that. It makes a lot of sense. And I feel like you're kind of spewing into the next question I'm going to ask you, because you even mentioned a bit of them. What do you think are the difficulties in teaching, or the difference between teaching regular subjects and prepping students for international exams like the SAT and the GMAT? What's a difference?
That's a very fine question. To start with, I'd say the biggest difference is when you're teaching normal school subjects, you're majorly focused on trying to transfer knowledge, like trying to impart to the student. But the international exams, the SATs, the GRE, the GMAT, they go beyond transferring knowledge. You're trying to teach someone to perform well under pressure. And that's like a different ball game from the classroom. And in our own cases, as a standardized teacher, we are judged almost immediately. What I mean is, when I taught in the classroom, at least you get to the end of the term.
You have a range. You
have a lengthy period of time before they assess you and see how good you are. When you teach these exams, you have somebody who already has a test date, like maybe like a month, and it's like, what can
Deadline.
you do for me within a month? I need to pass this exam. And then you have to become this miracle worker, so to speak. And you're judged immediately, because when you write the exam, some exams you get the result almost instantly. And then he's reaching out to you and telling you whether you did good or whether you did not do well. So there's that pressure on the part of the teacher, the tutor, and there is a pressure for the student also. So I think that's the major difference.
You killed that question. And from what I can deduct from what you're saying, I mean, coming from someone who has taught home lessons physically myself, which is teaching a variety of subjects, a range, over a period of time. And also someone who has prepared people for exams like IELTS and things like that. I totally understand. So how I'm going to wrap up what you said is, because you said teaching in the classroom is you're transferring knowledge. I feel like preparing people for these exams you're talking about is teaching them the strategy to use the knowledge they already have to pass these exams.
That makes a lot of sense.
So you have people who somewhere the knowledge has been transferred. Now you want to teach them, because you talked about speed, you talked about accuracy. I'm sure you're going to teach them techniques and everything. All of this falls under strategy. So you're teaching them how to use that knowledge that has been transferred, maybe by you also, in a normal classroom setting. But now it's time for exams. You're teaching them the strategy. And it makes a lot of sense. I hope you guys are listening. This guy's dropping gems. Okay, so as someone who, I mean, with your track record that we are aware of, you've taught students who now walk the halls, or who have walked the halls of Harvard and Oxford. What is one thing a student needs to change in their mindset? Because these are intimidating institutions that people just actually believe they can't get into.
That's true.
So apart from knowledge and everything, what is one thing the student needs to change in their mindset for them to be able to compete at the level of such schools?
All right, that's a great question. I think the biggest change in mindset needs to go from I just want to pass this exam to I want to compete globally. Now, the reason I say this is because while it might sound cliche, like we said, I mean, the topic itself is the global gateway, right? We've opened like doors, like there is no gatekeeping any longer when it comes to like these exams. So back then you had students who just wanted to get into any school abroad. They didn't mind whatever schools, and they just wanted to get the minimum score, like 1,200 for the SATs. For the GMAT, get like a 300. But now the thing is, those scores would not get you into these schools that you mentioned, the Harvards, the MIT, and so on. You need to be able to score like almost flawlessly. And so you need to change that mindset of, I just want to get the minimum mark. Like, you can actually get these super scores that many people get from India and other parts of the world, because the information that they had available to them, we have it now. There used to be a time when, yeah, they might have more information than us, but I mean, the world's a global village now. Everybody has almost similar information. So if we can get that information and pass the accurate strategies, like you mentioned, to answering questions with speed, with accuracy, practice real time and be able to apply yourselves. I mean, why not? You can, get these scores and be on a level playing field with many of the students, like globally. And when students are able to see that, oh yes, I can actually get these scores, and then you find out that what is left, I mean, you just need like a really good profile and you're getting into any of the schools easily. For example, I remember when the SAT switched to like a digital format, it used to be paper, right? During this period, there was not enough information. I mean,
the paper period,
students struggled to score above 600 in like the verbal aspect, the reading and writing, because it's like lengthy passages, like how do you go about answering? But the interesting part is when they switched to like the digital format, right? Not many people were familiar with what the content would be. I mean, if you check College Board website back then, they would probably tell you that, oh, it's going to be the same content and everything. But that was a lie. The truth was, when Blue Book came, which is where you used to practice, immediately I had a student that was about to write like the next month. So we started doing like some bit of research. Like, we checked the Blue Book and we started seeing like there were a lot of changes to the structure and even the content. What we used to call inference questions back then for people changed entirely. So we had to like restudy this thing, and that boy got like a 1510 in his SAT. So we were prepared, right? If it was at a time when we did not have access to as much information, I mean, I would be teaching something from like from the past, GGET, but now we have access to information, making it easier for us to like be on the same level played almost immediately. So I think when they understand that, they see that, okay, I can compete. Right, and once you understand that you can compete, you go for it.
You nailed that question, because I was just thinking about, yes, we mentioned the paper era, and it was difficult for students who were preparing to get access to resources and even access to tutors because of location. So a lot of things have changed now, that a fantastic tutor like you can reach out to somebody who is in Benin, who is preparing for these exams. You can reach out to someone who is in Abuja. So there were things that were inhibiting us in the past. And I think that these are things, these inhibitions that we have been able to overcome. Someone like you should start making posts about this online, letting people know that it's not as bad as it was before. It's not as difficult. Just mindset, first of all, has to be tweaked. Once they know that all resources are available, that is the first step. Because I remember when I wanted to write SAT2, I'm a kind of person who works with past questions and all those things, and if I don't have them in abundance, my mind isn't strong enough. So even when I went to the University of Nottingham for my PGC and all that, it was the availability of resources. All right, people, I would want you to sit back. This conversation is getting really deep. And for parents who are starting to prepare their children for such specialized, standardized tests, this is your man. I'll see you after the break.
Join us on Teacher's World, only on the Achievement Channel.
Hey, this is Habiba Balogun, Chair of the 11th Champions of Talent Development Conference by Learning and Development Network. Shout out to who? The Achievement Channel.
Yeah, my name is Victor Diali. My friends call me Victorious Victor. You're on to Achievement Channel. Shout out to you, Achievement Channel. Thank you so much for being here and for relating with us in the way that you have done. I'm really excited to have met you all here today. And please, guys, keep watching Achievement Channel so you can achieve.
I'm Dr. Samuel Jackson, Director Marketing Communication for the Learning and Development Network International. Keep watching Achievement Channel. Just like the name says, you got so much to achieve, so much to learn, capacity built on this channel. So keep it locked in. Don't turn it off.
Join us on Teachers World, only on the Achievement Channel.
Welcome back to Teachers World, and I'm still here with Mr. Victor. He has been dropping various information and educators who are looking to become international online tutors. You have two masters of that profession here. So Mr. Victor, I've been having a good time talking to you, and you are the founder of Get Tutored. You're doing a fantastic job. I've seen you on social media. We follow each other on social media. We actually did meet on social media,
Yeah, definitely.
but I'm sure that we'll talk about that very soon. So, becoming an online teacher, having virtual classes, what do you think is or are some important tools an educator should possess?
That is a very fine question. Number one, I'd say, while this is not exactly a tool, I'd say soft skills, very good communication. Tutors should be able to communicate effectively. People would usually go to, what are the resources you're using, the laptops, the Wi-Fi, the power supply. Those are really great things to have. But you can have all that and not be an effective communicator. That is just a simple truth. And you're not going to really achieve what you want to achieve if you're not communicating effectively. One interesting thing about online tutoring is it's a global thing, right? It opens you up to be able to take students to the diaspora and to also take students from like other countries. I've taken students from countries that have names that I can't even pronounce, like Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan,
Kyrgyzstan,
and so on and so forth. And the interesting thing is some of them are not native English speakers. So the thing is, you're going to have to find a way to communicate effectively to them. The way you would speak to a Nigerian student and pass the information to a Nigerian student living abroad or in Nigeria, you might have to tweak it when you have to deal with some of these students that are non-native speakers. Some of the cues you try to use, they may not understand them. So if you're not an effective communicator, if you're not able to adapt, you'll find it very difficult to go international if that's what you're looking at. But also, definitely the laptops, good power supply, good internet, ability to use different tools like the Microsoft whiteboards and stylus pen to be able to solve maths very quickly. All those things are definitely important. You have to get them. They are good investments. If you want to make it in this field, like Mr. David, you see him with his laptop almost everywhere. It's because he has everything that he needs for him to make it work, right? So if you want to make it in this field, you need to invest in those things. You can't be shy about it. That's just the truth.
So basically, you've answered the question. Even though I said tools, it's a combination of hardware and soft skills, because I always tell people that the fact that you're a good speaker of English doesn't make you an effective teacher of English. Fantastic. So for these exams now, some of them are scary. Once you hear GRE, once you hear SAT, the children even start to whimper right from secondary school to start preparing for this. So how do you help to get the children to be calm and confident when knowing what's at stake?
First, you need to give prep talks. That's just the simple truth. You have to be able to tell these kids that you don't need to worry, you don't need to be too anxious. You can even perform well despite being, anxious and all that. That is just the simple truth. You also have to be able to engage them regularly and show them in real time what it's like to actually tackle these questions. Sometimes they have the skills, some of them learn what they need to do, but then they fold under pressure. So you have to, what I do personally is I create a simulations. There are enough practice tests available to us. I create simulations of these actual exams like GMAT, the GRE, the SATs. To just give you an example of how I help students remain calm. I had a student recently. He has been scoring like a 620 in his reading and writing for the SAT, right? Scoring a 620, he did it like 3 times and it's the same score. So that means there is something that he has in.
And what's the maximum?
The maximum for reading and writing is 800.
Okay.
So he's already doing well, but obviously to get like those super scores, you need to beat that
up his game.
That score 620. He didn't understand what he was doing wrong, and he got tired at some point. So what we started doing is, instead of just teaching him concepts, it was good. We kept doing practice tests every single class, and we'll do the practice tests together, and then I would show him things that he needs to know, quick strategies that he needs to apply to answer some basic questions, so that he can leave more time for questions that require more time. You don't give the same amount of time to different questions. So questions are answered in quicker time. Some might take you a bit longer. The first 2 that we did, he scored a 750 and a 740, and that just opened his eye to, oh wow, it's possible to score beyond the 620. And doing enough of his practice tests, when they get to the exam, what they're going to do on test day is basically similar to what they've been doing in all these practice tests. So what begins to happen is they become familiar. The test day feels like just another practice,
a normal
test.
practice.
So that's
like a mock
way, like exactly.
So beyond teaching, I mean, just transferring knowledge and all of that, that's the basic function of a teacher. What would you say you can attribute to the success of the tutor and the children when it comes to mentoring?
That is a very incredible question, and the reason I say that is, I mean, you're a teacher yourself. You can't actually go through the phase of teaching kids or teaching people without being a mentor. You can't have it either way. You have to do both things. Now, the truth is, in my field, I had to be able to guide the students, to be able to guide the person who is about to take this exam. Many of the times, these students, they feel there's a lot of self-doubt, a lot of feelings of disappointment, fear of failure, feeling scared, like the last question that you asked. Some of them have written a particular exam. I mean, you teach the IELTS too, so somebody, for example, scored a 6.5 on writing like 2 or 3 times in the IELTS exam or something, and is just wondering, what is he doing wrong? So they begin to have this, fear, the confidence level drops, lack of self-esteem. So in order to be able to achieve the goal of the classes, you have to mentor a lot of these candidates, a lot of these kids, a lot of these students. You have to like seriously mentor them, like to guide them through, help them build discipline, help them learn to think logically, help them believe in themselves first of all. That is like a very important thing that they need to learn. So there is no way you're not going to be a mentor along the line. That's just the simple truth.
Because to add to that, I feel like children need to look up to you. You can't just have function as a teacher. The children have to look up to you. Okay, so we're done with our jam questions, and I know that I usually preach to educators that when you're trying to do something or you're trying to venture into a new field, you should look out for people who have done these things so that you can maybe emulate the things that they're doing positively and also learn from their mistakes. So for people watching out there, I know people are going to be looking up to you too. Who are the educators that have inspired you to do what you're doing today?
That feels like a trick question, because I mean, number one, I'm sitting with one of the persons that for sure inspired me. We're meeting.
I think they do this. They do things like this now. I don't know.
I mean, so the truth is, we're meeting for the first time physically. We've only spoken to each other through social media. But I've known Mr. David for a pretty long time. You know, I've known me, but I've known him. I've been following him for a long time. Because being in the education space, there's a period in time you're wondering, should you pivot? Should you just find something else that will pay the bills? Are you sure you can actually make money, or the teaching and all that stuff? And then you see someone like Mr. David on social media. He's with Davido, and you're like, is it the same teaching that we are both doing? And one of the things I love about Mr. David is the fact that he didn't keep his knowledge to himself. Like, he's out there telling teachers, you can actually become something in this career field. And that, the same way I said, if I mentor students, like, it gives them confidence. Seeing someone like Mr. David, even on social media, just there, he doesn't even know how much of a reach he has through his social media platform. Someone like me just sits there, look like, okay, if he can do it, I mean, I can do it too. And then I had we're talking behind the scenes, and like, a lot of tutors are afraid to actually, you know, pivot or like go freelance or these things because of, I mean, just that fear. But seeing someone like him made it easier for me to make that switch and be like, okay, I could make something if I really get good at, you know, what I'm doing. So,
at this point, my head is going to choke everybody here. It is swelling and swelling.
I'm just feeling facts. I'm just feeling facts. And then I remember joining one of in 2020, who stayed like Module 3 of one of his online.
My Module 3 webinar.
Yeah, a webinar. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there was a fee we had to pay. I mean, it was worth every.
It wasn't cheap.
Every penny.
It wasn't cheap.
It was worth every penny. At that point, I think I already pivoted into teaching the GRE and so on. But man, I've been seeing this person from so long. He's hosting this seminar. I'm like, I have to be a part of it. So I joined. I wanted to just see the nuances. Like, what is he doing differently? How does he speak? What is the?
It's like you can talk about me for another 1 hour. But I'm going to have to ask you now, is there anybody else?
Oh, there's mostly on social media, basically. There's Tokwe Adeluga.
Okay, I think he's in the UK.
Yeah, but I think the recent post I see
goes in and out. He goes in and out.
Currently in Nigeria, I don't know. Like, he's always dropping gems, you know. Okay. I always like those people that value the work that we do, who kind of put teachers on the pedestal and help us understand that the value we bring to the table is actually worth it. So that's another person I have that comes to mind easily.
I'm sure that there are people out there now who will be watching you. Your handle is Get Tutored, right?
Get Tutored, yes.
I'm sure that there are some people who can say the same thing about you. So my final question for you today will be, if you could nominate someone else to be on this show, who would it be?
First person that comes to mind, because we worked together for a while. I think he's still in schools, so I don't know what his schedule might be like, but I think he's a little bit much more free these days. That would be eBay I Teach. That's his handle, I Teach.
eBay I Teach.
So mostly focused on just math, like anything math. That's where he specializes on. So,
okay.
Yeah, eBay
so eBay I Teach. I guess during the holidays we might have you here. It's been fantastic talking to you.
Nice talking to you too.
And I won't be surprised if I have you here again, because I can see you're doing big things. Thank you for watching. And from me, keep seeing possibilities.
Join us on Teacher's World, only on the Achievement Channel.
What an eye-opening session. A huge thank you to Victor for showing us that with the right strategy and mentorship, there is no limit to where a Nigerian student can go. We've learned today that specializing in a niche and embracing virtual tools can take a teacher's career and their students to the global stage. To every educator watching, remember, you are the bridge to your students' biggest dreams. Follow our Achievement Channel on all social platforms and use the hashtag #WeSeePossibilities to share your thoughts. I'm David Obianyor, and this is Teacher's World. Until next time, keep teaching, keep specializing, and keep seeing possibilities. And remember that regular is boring.